Hey everyone, welcome back. Now in this particular video, we are going to talk about how to upgrade your FortiGate firewall. Okay, so what are the things that you need to keep in mind when you're upgrading your firewall and when you're progressing or when you're moving towards the upgrade, how would you do that? Okay, so in this particular lab, I'm going to power on one of my firewalls. Okay, and I'll show you how exactly you execute the upgradation process and what are the things that you need to keep in mind, what are the rules and regulations, and something which you need to make sure before you upgrade. What are those things? Okay, so we'll talk about all those things today. I've just powered on one of my VMs over here. Let's connect via the CLI. Okay, so log in quickly and password. Okay, so I just wiped this. So basically, I've did a factory reset on this, so it should not have any password. So it's like brand new right now. So I'm putting up a new password. Okay, done. So let me quickly see what IP address do I have over here. It has 0.8. Okay, 1 second. I just want to make sure that I have the HTTP access also. Okay. Okay, got it. Let's log in. And it's asking for the host name. Let me keep that as well. So this is FortiGate North, and keeping it all same optimal dashboard. I do not want to see the new feature guide for now, so let's say don't show again. So it's a brand new FortiGate firewall. Whenever you open up a brand new firewall, this is how it comes up. Okay, so nonetheless, let's move on. Now see over here, you can see that my FortiGate firmware version is 7.0.0. All right, and let's say for example I have to upgrade, or let's say your customer says that you want to upgrade this firewall. What firmware you should be going on to? Okay, to do that, first thing that you need to do is to log into your portal, your support portal, support.fortinet.com. So yeah, there you go, support.fortinet.com. Okay, you have to log in over here. Once you log in, then in this particular section you'll see services and support. So click on the support section and then click on the firmware download. As soon as you click on the firmware download, you will come up on this particular screen. Okay, over here you have to make sure that your FortiGate model is selected, and then you have the firmware versions and the release notes. You have a download column, upgrade path, and the support tool. Now, what we need to do right now is to figure out what will be the upgrade path and what will be the final FortiOS that I have to go on to. Okay, so the first thing again is that once you have selected the FortiGate product, then select what model it has. Okay, now for you, it could be anyone. It could be 100D, 100F, 101F. You have to choose, from this list. So in my case, I have a VM environment, right? So I'll be selecting the VM, okay, this over here. And once I've select this, then the next part is to select the operating system over here. Now, as of now, I'm running on 7.0, right? So I'll be selecting 7.0.0 because that's my current FortiOS version. And over here, I'll select the version which is, my final destination that I want to go to. So let's say, for example, I want to go to 7.0.9, which is the latest in 7.0 series. Okay, so if I do that, select this, and then I click on go. Now, over here, you can see that you are currently on 7.0.0. Okay, the next interim upgrade that you need to go for will be 7.0.7, and the next will be 7.0.9. That will be the final. So how many upgrades we are going to go for? 2 upgrades. Okay, and this will be the final upgrade, 7.0.9. 7.0.7 will be interim upgrade. Okay, so I know I have to go on 0.7 and then 0.9. So I've kept this as a note. I'll remember this. Then I'll go into the download. Over here, you have to select which particular FortiOS version directory I have to go on to. So I know I'm on 7.0, so I'll click on over here. Then 7.0, not on 2, TS2 is the latest one. So we'll go into 7.0, and then I go to 7.0.7. Okay. Now see, again, it will list out all the models, and every model will have a different file for the Forti operating system. So now what I need to do is I'll probably search this out. So I'll say kvm. Okay, the reason I'm doing a kvm is because mine is a VM environment. In your case, it could be very well be 900D or 81F, whatever your model is. Just search for that, and when you find it, you can just select and download. Okay, so now in my case, what I'll do is I'll search over here kvm. Okay, and I'll look for the VM64, and there you go. Okay, so FortiGate VM64 kvm 707, that's the build, and I just need to click on HTTPS. Once I click on this, it will start to download. Okay, now, so that's the interim build. The second one which I have to go on to is 7.0.9. Okay, so I'll go into 7.0 once more. I'll go back over here, and then I'll select 7.0.9. Okay, again the same process, and let's see, FortiGate VM64 kvm, there you go, and I'll click on HTTPS once more, and it will start to download. So it will take about a couple of minutes. I can see, it will take a few seconds, it will be done. Okay, now moving back over here. So this is the topology. As of now, I'm just upgrading this particular firewall, which was originally on 7.0.0. Over here, we can see this, right? So I'll click on over here, update the firmware. Okay, and now it is saying your current FortiOS version is 7.0, and which particular file would you like to, go on to? So you can, say select browse over here. See, it's as of now it's still downloading, which is fine. I'll go with this one. Okay, which is the the FortiGate VM64 707 firmware. Yeah, I'll open this up. So it says that your file is selected. A valid upgrade path cannot be determined for manual uploaded firmware. Ensure that upgrading to FortiOS 7.0.7 from FortiOS version 7.0 is supported. Otherwise, it may result in loss of configuration. So yes, whenever you go for an upgrade, you have to make sure that you are following the upgrade path. Okay, because if you are not following the upgrade part, what will happen is you may lose configuration, or configuration may feel okay, but whenever you're trying to do something, it may fall. Okay, or it may break for you. So a lot of time customers comes up with this particular problem, that before the upgrade the configuration was working fine, after the upgrade it was not. And in 90% of the situation, we figure out when when the customer raises a tag ticket with us, and when I'm getting on a call with them, I 90% I get to know that okay, they were not following the right upgrade path. There are also reasons for it, because let's say I'll take this up. I am on 6.2. Let's take another one. Let's take 100T. What I'm trying to tell you over here is that if the path or the upgrade is too much, okay, let's say you're going from 5.2 to 6.2. So you see how many you have: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So in all total, you're going for 7 upgrades. Customers do not want to do that. So what they do is they just directly go for an upgrade to maybe the latest one, or maybe after 2-3 upgrades, they go for the final one. And that's where, problem comes up. So again, you have to make sure that you're following the upgrade path. Okay, moving back. So you just need to click on backup config and upgrade. Since we are following the upgrade path, we can, go ahead and do this. Upgrading the firmware will cause the system reboot. Are you sure you want to continue? Absolutely. Click on continue. So see, it has already taken up the backup for me. Okay, upgrading the firmware to FortiOS. System is rebooting. I'll show you over here also. Okay, so it is going down, and once it comes up, the firmware upgrade is in process. Okay, now you can ignore this one, the valid RSA signature, because mine is a VM, so this will happen. But in your hardware FortiGate firewalls, this won't happen. Okay, so you can ignore this up. Firmware upgrade in progress. So I'll keep it a little bit side so I can see this screen also. Okay, so generally it takes about 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes when you have a heavy configuration. When you're running it for a long time, it has a heavy configuration, it has a lot of rules and VPN tunnels and all those things, then it takes about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, but yeah, a single device does not take more than that. If in case you are on an HA environment, then HA would also be let's say on tops 10 minutes. It doesn't take more than that. But that does not mean that you should be going with that particular 10-minute rule, or maybe make sure that you are at least have 60 minutes to 120 minutes of scheduled downtime, because it's not the upgrade, but once the upgrade is done, you have to verify the configuration also. You have to make sure the connectivity is there. You have to make sure traffic is going and the way it was supposed to before the upgrade. So you have to verify all these things, which takes time, 60 to 120 minutes, and that's the reason. Okay, now see, I have already upgraded the interim version. It says diagnose debug configure log read. This will tell you whether your configuration was correctly upgraded or not. If in case there is any error, it will show, otherwise not. So if I log into admin Eve and just execute this up. Okay, copy, paste, there we go. So see, it says that policy, you have a command parse error because there was a policy which was not correctly done. So again, this is absolutely fine. Why? Because mine, I was testing out with a couple of things, so that's okay. Now, the next thing is get system status. Okay, so if you do this, you can see now I am on 707, right? Now I have to do one more upgrade. Let me show you and verify the same configuration on the GUI as well. So now you see this, you have a 707. Okay, ignore the the high memory again, because it's a VM environment. I have just given 1 GB, which is quite less, to be honest. Okay, so again, update the firmware. Okay, now see, there's a little difference. You can see that the format is different. The look and feel is a little different as compared to 7.0.0, right? So you have the option of register and you have an option to upgrade also. Now this time I'll go ahead and click on upgrade over here. Now see, it's asking for it'll check the internet, and if it is having internet connection, it will show you all the upgrades that you might have. Now the next thing is you can click on file upload, because I'm doing a manual upgrade over here. So you can click on file upload. If in case you want, you can do this from the all upgrades and downgrades also, but do not use this. The reason is, again, it fetches the file from the internet, and if in case there is an internet problem, then the downgrade, sorry, the upgrade will fail. The download of the firmware will fail, and it could create issues, configuration corruption or image corruption. So it is always best, as a best practice, to go for a file upload manual. Okay, so again, I'll click on browse and I'll go for the 709. Okay, selected, confirm and backup. Upgrade the firmware, of course, yes, continue. Now again, it has taken up the backup of the configuration. Done. Okay, I'll show it over here just like this. Okay, so it is uploading the image, and once the image is uploaded, it will start the upgradation process. Now again, as I said, it's a VM environment, so it we can have a little bit of here and there, but when it comes to a hardware environment, when you have a specific hardware, this will work absolutely fine. Okay, all right. So the next thing is, once this upgrade process happens, okay, you will again get the same, you can get the same web page where you will be able to log in once more. Okay, so it's stuck at 95. Let me see why is that so. Okay, let's give it a little bit time over here. Okay, all right. So I got an error over here, which is the session was removed because of the license registration. That makes sense, because again, it's a VM environment, and as soon as you upgrade, it understands that, okay, it's an evaluation license. There are certain restrictions, and it won't allow you to do that. But having said that, the upgrade process that we saw is exactly the same. Okay, you just have to make sure that you follow that particular process. And once that's done, then it will reboot the firewall. Once the reboot is done, then you have to go for the diagnose, debug, config, error log read. It will, populate all the configuration issues that you might have. Okay, and then one by one, you can, look for that particular firewall or policy and check whether there was any problems or not. Okay, so this is how you go for an upgrade process. Now again, VM environment, this is supposed to happen, but in the hardware, it will automatically upgrade one by one. Okay, this is how you do this. Plus, you have to make sure that from the portal side, you have the right upgrade path, because upgrade path is very important. If you're not following it up, It may create issues with the configuration. Okay, it may corrupt the configuration, or it may also corrupt your firmware. So make sure that you're following that particular thing. Next is the release notes. So before you start with the upgrade, or when you're planning for an upgrade, make sure you read the particular 7.0 build. Okay, so what will happen is this will tell you over here that if in case there are any issues or challenges, how will you handle those things as well. Okay, so release information. Yeah, so I'll select 7.2 is selected. Hold on, I'll select on 7.0. Okay, I'll select release information. I will go with the 7.0.9. Yeah. Now see it over here, it will show up all the models which supports that particular upgrade or that particular FortiOS version. Okay. If you have your hardware over here, great, you can go for it. So again, this is the first thing which you always check. Next is upgrade information. Okay, you have a lot of information about the upgrade, that what will happen on once the upgrade is done. The best thing which you can do right now is look for resolved issues or known issues. I mean, you can even skip resolved issues, but known issues you should be going through at least once. Why? Because if any one of these issues are hitting your environment or your customer's environment also, it could create problem, right? So you should be well prepared for it even before you go for an upgrade. For example, let's say, for example, yeah, let's take up this HA1. So it says in HA, we have a bug ID with this particular number, and it says FGSB local sessions exist after rebooting the HA pair with active passive mode, and hardware SSC session count is incorrect. Then you have an HA failure occurs on pair of FortiGate 2600s due to packet loss on heartbeat interface. So if in case, let's say for example, you are also running a hardware model where you have an HA in place, so you have to keep this thing in mind. What you can do is create a attack ticket, mention this particular bug ID, mention your hardware and the firmware, and tell them that I am actually going for an upgrade, and I can see in the known issues that there is a problem, or this is a known problem. So what do you suggest? What does attack recommend on this particular cases? What will happen is they'll check internally into the bug ID, and they'll tell you that, okay, there is a new upgrade or there is a new firmware which is getting released. So if in case you can wait for, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks more, you can get to that particular firmware version where this issue is also fixed. Okay, so you will avoid any unforeseen situations or issues that could create problems for you. So always make sure that you're going through the release notes. Known issues is a must. Okay, introduction to the supported models, that whether your models is supported or not. Yes, absolutely, the first thing that needs to be checked. Okay, just make sure that you are a part of this. So let's say 3200D, you are a part of it, you also have the hardware model, great. Then the next is the known issues and the resolved issues. Resolved issues basically make sense if in case you are upgrading for a problem which you already have, and if you're upgrading for that, check for the resolved issues, and known issues check just to make sure you do not hit anything else that could be a problem. Okay, in 90% it does not happen, but yes, just to avoid those 10% situations, you should be doing that as well. Okay, all right, so this was all about how to upgrade the FortiGate firewall, and how to download the right images, and how to upgrade your system from the GUI. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Please comment down below on what all other topics that you want to understand from the FortiGate perspective, and if in case you have certain counter questions on what we discussed today, I'll go ahead and reply you back on that as well. Till that time, keep learning FortiGate firewall. Goodbye. Good night.